Hey guys, my name is Lamar and I'm here to show you how to get your sound clean. So let's start this. Alright, so I got this little saw wave. It's basically just a little serum, a patch, a basic patch. We're gonna make the sound and then I'm gonna show you how to post-process your sound to make them sound fat, loud, clear, and big, and dubsteppy, and great. Alright, so let's start with the first, whatever, we can start with any wave we want. I'll just start with one you have, just so we can... Alright, so now what we're trying to do is find like a nice tonality, I guess, a nice sound, so we can go from there and like build the sound on that. I like this, so we're gonna start from this. This doesn't really have anything to do with like the cleanness of your sound, but one feature that I really like in Serum is that you have this remap function, and basically it's like you can create whatever you want in there. So like this is the basic sound, and like if I go in there and like just you can create really anything with that. Alright, maybe this. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this. Yeah. Then I'm gonna put the phase at the randomized phase at 0, and I'm gonna put the phase at 0 just so it's our starting point. I'm gonna leave it all like that. We can add some automation just so the sound can move a little. So we can put that on the wavetable, for example. Alright, this is already pretty cool. So one of the things that is important when you make your sound from the start is that you need to make sure that it's clean. Because when you're going to add some compression and distortion afterwards, if it's not clean, all the noise in your sound is just going to come up, and it's not something you want, because it's just going to be hard to make it sound bright, loud, distorted, and nice, right? So you want to have something clean. This is definitely not the cleanest sound, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a saw wave that's going to carry the bass, and that's also going to... I'm going to align the phase with the first oscillator, and what it's going to do is going to clean the sound a little. It kind of cleaned the sound because the saw wave is a wave that is like super clean. So adding something cleaner to the sound that is a bit dirtier makes it a bit cleaner, of course. So yeah. Also, one thing I want to say right now is like the oscillator B, most of the time I'll use a saw wave, mainly because I want this one to carry the bass, because pretty much all my sound has the bass line, well, the sub integrated within them. So that's why like this is like a really easy way to make your sound a bit cleaner and to make sure that your sub, well, your bass is going to be like everything is going to be there. Like, since it's not like something like this and then you're missing all those frequencies, they're all there. So you know that... Well, maybe I should make it more.
Make your music stand out, get more views, and way more engagement. Bring your music to life. Get Music Visualizer in every format, even for social media. Get started today. The link is in the description.
But yeah, you know that your whole spectrum is going to be filled with that wave. So basically, if that wave have some dip in the spectrum, well, this one is just gonna fill it basically. Yeah. So this is the sound we have now. which is not that clean, but I'm gonna make it cleaner. I think one of the things we could maybe play with the wave, the oscillator A, just to try to make it cleaner a bit with the oscillator B. So we're gonna do that. Now, before we move on, I want to add a saturator, put a 10 dB drive. That is mainly because I want my sound to be already loud, already fat, so I have a good idea of how it's gonna sound like. Well, how it's gonna sound like at the end. But you'll see, I'm gonna leave this there because it's just gonna compress it super well. I'm also gonna add an OTT in front of it. The amount is gonna be 100%. And one of the really cool thing in Ableton with the OTT is that you can basically like touch anything. You know, you can like play with the attack, you can play with the below, the above, and one of the really cool feature about the OTT is playing with the wave, because that's gonna kind of affect your sound sonically, I think. So I can show you real quick. Oh my bad. So depending on what kind of sound you want, you will have to play with this. So if I want to have a sound that is bright, but not too crazy, like not too pronounced in the mids, I'm probably going to bump that frequency higher. So there's more frequencies in the mids, so they're like kind of more, not squashed, but like more compressed. And the high, there's less frequencies in the higher region, higher end of the spectrum, so it just goes through a lot easier. Like this compared to. So that's one of the things that when I make my sound, when I put an OTT on there, I always try to change the frequency here, because it always like change the sound a little, and sometimes you can make it a lot better just by changing this. Yeah, so this is gonna be the basic compression we're gonna have. Okay, I'm just gonna play with the low just to make sure it's the right. Ooh. All right, I'm just gonna add an EQ because I want a certain frequency to just pop out a little more, because I feel like I want this mid to really go through. Like I kind of went like really crazy. In fact. All right, cool. All right, so we're gonna go back into sound, and we're gonna keep pushing it, keep working on it, basically, just because now we have the basic compression, so we can have an idea of how it's gonna kind of sound like when the sound is not done, but like we can have a better idea of how it's gonna sound when it's kind of processed a bit. Then we're gonna add a filter. Usually the filter I use is peak notch, mainly because I want to keep the lower frequencies, because the saw wave is gonna really take that. Well, they're gonna, yeah, you know what I mean. The oscillator B is gonna take care of the lower end. Now we're gonna have to do this a little. Maybe you can play with that a bit. Oh, maybe not. All right, let's all listen. Oh, that's cool. Now you can see like why it's important to have the phase, the random phase at 0, and then it's important to also align the phase so it's not like muddy like this. and we have something more crunchy like this. So fades are a big part of this. Also, if you don't have this a saw wave as a second wave, it's important to have a second wave that's gonna match well with the first oscillator, basically. Because if both don't match, you won't get a clean sound, or you'll have to like do a load of post processing. And it's always easier to make a sound good from something a sound that is already clean than make something good out of a sound that is dirty and over compressed, and you know. So let's keep on going there. I think this is pretty cool. I'm gonna put it on mono because it's bass, obviously. I'm gonna put the pitch like this just because I like when it's 2 octave. Then we're gonna go over this. Usually when I go in the FX section in Serum, I don't go too crazy. I try to keep it simple because I prefer to do post-processing. Because I feel like the hyper is good. Well, the hyper is good, but I got this little plugin, Magic Stereo, that I prefer a lot more. Look at his eyes. So yeah, there's like those different presets. It's like a really good plugin if you want to widen your stuff, and don't want to fuck up the mono, you know. So yeah, but I'm still gonna use the hyper dimension just a little bit, just so it can gives it a little a bit of wideness, but not too much. You see, like if I play with and without, so it's basically nothing, but it's just like after that, when I'm gonna use this plugin and boost the sides, it's gonna help it to spread out even more, as opposed if it just was a mono sound. So we can maybe put some distortion. We'll see how it sounds. That's dope. That makes it like... But I think we can get that distortion another way. That's gonna be better, just by boosting the sound within the saturator. All right, so maybe we can... Well, I think the sound is pretty... Yeah, maybe you could have some more phasing. Well, more... not more phasing. Yeah, more filtering, you know what I mean? Because filtering makes your sound alive. At least I think so. Hey-o. All right, so now we have that. I'm gonna put an EQ and then a saturator, and I'm gonna EQ it within the saturator to distort it in a certain way. And the soft clip is on, so that's why it's gonna distort harmonically. Because I think, from what I know, is like the saturator, when you compress, when you push your sound, when you like go over 0, basically, it's gonna distort, but in a nice way. That's like one of my favorite limiter compressor distortion kind of plugin. I also use it on my mastering, and that's like my master. Everything happens in the mix down. That's why like I can really go out and push this one in redline, and I don't really mind, because the mastering is taking care of all of that. Yeah. So let's go back. All right. Maybe we can... No. All right. So I'm not sure I like this sound. Maybe we can... One of the things I do most of the time, if I don't like the sound I'm working on, I just duplicate it. I go back in the patch and I fuck around with the patch. That's usually the way I can like stumble upon like crazy stuff, like crazy sounds that I'm like, whoa, I didn't even work on it, you know? I worked on something else, changed the wave, and now it's like good, perfect. All right, now we gotta make it cleaner a bit. I'm not sure if I want to boost this one because it kind of sounds like empty, like kind of like it's kind of like it's resonating in a bowl, you know, and I don't like that. But I want to keep that frequency. So how do I gonna do that? Aha, like this then. But then I don't like it. Much better, huh? There you go. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, this is gonna help a lot. That's the definition of a weak sound. All right. So as you can see, like it's really like tweaking around. Like in this case, this sound is great. It's crunchy. I mean, it could be like louder for sure. Let's put it in OTT. And then I'm gonna put an EQ. I like this. I like this frequency. As you can see, I'm not scared of like boosting. Like in this tutorial, I haven't like went crazy with like my EQs, but sometimes I can go crazy. And like if it sounds good, that's all that matters. Really, if it sounds good, that's all that matters. So don't overthink it, and like it's all about how it sounds. Really, it's really all about how it sounds. So don't overthink it. Like if it needs more bass and putting an EQ on it and boosting the low end works, then great, problem solved, you know? Yeah. Yeah, and then from there, you can make your little song. Let's say we change the wavetable, the FO. Oh my bad, the snare's gonna be too loud.
Make your music stand out, get more views, and way more engagement. Bring your music to life. Get Music Visualizer. In every format, even for social media. Get started today. The link is in the description.
My bad. Maybe we can add the LFO on the resonance. Sorry. But yeah, that's basically how you make a clean sound for me. And then I just duplicate it and I go from there. and I make like I change the wavetable, and that method to make a song, it's pretty good in my opinion, because like all your sound that you're gonna add, since it's duplicated and then you play with the wave, it's always gonna make sense because the post processing is always like consistent, right? So it's always gonna sound like, I wouldn't say similar because the sound can change, but the mix down is gonna sound like it fits together since it's the same processing. Yeah. So that's about it for how to make a clean sound. Yeah. So thank you for watching this, and hope you've learned a lot. If you have any question, you can hit me up. I'll be happy to answer. All right, bye guys.